This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and good morning, good evening, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this episode of Business Accelerator with myself, Adam Strong. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about pricing versus value. Now, the reason I wanted to jump on here is because I had a recent interaction with a business owner recently, and we got on a coaching call actually with his team, and they had a real dilemma. They are in the software business, and what they were trying to do is they were trying to figure out why their conversions were hurting them, the fact that they weren't getting the amount of leads that they were getting in, and they really couldn't get a grip of what is it that made them a little bit different from the marketplace. And so what we did, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we did in a second, but before we do, if you guys are listening to me live, use the hashtag live or use the hashtag replay. That would be super awesome. And if you are listening to me, or even if you're listening to the recording of me via the podcast, okay, you can use a PLC, which is a post, like, or comment on the comment section below. We're streaming through LinkedIn Live, on YouTube, and on Twitter. So make sure that you follow me on those channels and also hit the bell notifications to make sure you don't miss out on those opportunities. If you're listening to me on the podcast, we're going to put all of the links below. And I'm going to tell you a little about our new group as well at the end of this as well. So let's get straight into this. Price versus value. So interestingly enough, so obviously it's the holiday season right now. Lots of people are flying all over the world. And now I'll just use this as a really key differentiating factor here, okay? So say we have two different airlines that are flying to the same destination, and we'll just call it Florida just for the sake of it. Say we call it Miami. Now, I know that there's a lot of airlines that fly to Miami. We'll call it, say, Norwegian, okay? And we've got Virgin Atlantic, okay? Now, there are obviously two different airlines, okay? But guess what? You're going to the same destination. You're getting on literally pretty much the same airplane. You're getting to the destination, and that's the key factor. But what differentiates between Virgin Atlantic and Norwegian Airlines? What's the big differentiating factor? Is it the fact that maybe Norwegian are competing on more of a price-conscious consumer? Or is it the fact that Virgin aren't interested in price-conscious people? They're more interested in service. They're more interested in giving people an experience. They're more interested in kind of the whole journey as such, trying to make it like a memory, more of a memory. So there are, and airlines are a really, really good example to show the differentiation. Another great example of this is now if I go onto Amazon and I was in the market for, say, a yoga mat, right? Now, as a consumer, right, as you can imagine on Amazon, there's probably about 1 million yoga mats. Now, say I found a particular yoga mat, whatever it might be, okay? Yoga mats to me are pretty much all the same. I know they're not for you guys that are yoga mats fanatics, if you like. But what's really going to help me kind of sway my decision in terms of like picking one particular buyer or supplier for a yoga mat compared to another? Well, let me give you an example. If I saw a yoga mat, say it was the best color that and it had the great material and it ticked all the boxes for me, and it would say it would cost 30 quid or 30 bucks, whatever it is, okay? But I saw another supplier doing the same yoga mat or similar yoga mat, similar sort of color, all right? Same price, yet this guy or this supplier supplies me with some videos of my yoga. They might throw in some freebies. It might be like a free exercise band, for example. They might give me a booklet or whatever it might be. or a free strap for my yoga lessons or whatever it might be. So what I'm doing is the supplier is now adding value to my yoga mat. I was only in the market for buying a yoga mat. But what's going to sway me is the fact that I'm going to invest in the guy or the supplier that's going to give me the yoga mat with the videos, with the strap, with any extra perks and benefits over the supplier that just gives me a yoga mat for just that amount of money. And it might be that actually the supplier that provides me with the videos and the worksheets and the straps and whatever it is, hey, it might be, I would be prepared to pay that a little bit extra because I feel like I'm getting extra value. Does that make sense? And, and I think from my perspective, and there's a really key differentiating factor between price versus value. So in my, when I was with doing a coaching session with one of my clients who runs a software company, one of the key differentiating factors was what makes you different from other competitors. Now they've got a lot of competitors in their space, and they were doing it for a lot cheaper. And I'm like, how is it that you've managed to do this amount of business, right? Still being able to charge top dollar, yet your competitors are offering the same product at a much cheaper price. So I said to them, I was like, what is it that you can do to add to your value ladder? Is it the fact that you can add certain features within what you offer, for example? And a really good example of this is like Zoom, for example. Zoom's a really great platform that we use a lot on a regular basis. Everyone is familiar with Zoom. Zoom has a meeting package, which I think is about $15 a month or whatever it is. But then if I wanted to do webinars, if I wanted to do large amount of attendees, if I wanted to run larger events, there's extra packages, there's extra add-ons for that, if that makes sense. Okay, and they have a free package, so they've got like what we call an ecosystem, a product ecosystem. They know specifically how they can differentiate themselves from the marketplace. And a really good example as well here is I've got another great client, and she, bless her, she's exceptionally good at what she does, really good at what she does. I've seen some of the testimonials, I've seen some of the transformations, yet guess what? Interestingly enough, I said, she said to me, hey, so I'm going to do this workshop for, I don't know, I think it was like £347, which is about $500 or whatever it is. I'm like, that's way too cheap, And so I said, I dare you to test this theory. So I said, go to one of your existing clients, okay, that's on your program, and ask them specifically, do they get good value for money? Is it priced at the right price? And her client turned around and said, I think it's too cheap. If I didn't know you, I wouldn't have bought it, because the reality is that because it's seen as too cheap, it must be mediocre. It must be less. I must be getting less for my money. Does that make sense, guys? And so I think it's really important. And there's, this particular session day is not just about understanding price versus value, but it's also an understanding of making sure that you are, especially with the small business owners, that you're charging a good price for your products and services. They're investing in you. They're investing in the results. If you've got the backup and the proof and the social proof to then increase your prices, I dare you to do that. In fact, I dare you to double your prices. Now, some people are kind of like sort of gasping, but I can guarantee you, like with inflation going up, with costs going up and everything like that, okay, this is a normal thing to do. Okay, it's completely normal. So I wanted to kind of like, jump on here, give you guys a few tips, but I want you to really think about when you look at your business right now, okay, think about what is it I'm competing on? Do I want to be like Ryanair, or do I want to be like Singapore Air New Zealand? Okay, two different airlines offer two different types of products, but they still fly. So what is it that you want to be known for? Okay, so if you're competing on price, you're going to be thinking about what volume. You're thinking about quantity rather than quality. Now, the thing is, it's going to take 10 times more effort to get more clients and customers on board. If you keep competing on value, you're having to do less work, you'll have more freedom, and it's about really kind of, really getting good quality people on board rather than kind of attracting maybe clients or customers, which may take up a lot of your time. They probably are types of people that complain a lot and not thankful for what you offer to them. So I really want you to think about that, the types of clients that you're attracting based on your price versus value, structure, if you like. Anyway, listen, I wanted to jump on here. I hope that you've enjoyed today's session. For you guys that are listening into the recording, I'm going to put all the show notes below. And just before you go, we have an amazing new Telegram group, by the way. I'm going to put the links below, by the way. And our group is growing bigger and bigger every day, which is fantastic. I put in lots of tips and advice into the group about strategy, about how to grow your business, but more importantly, also about events that we've got coming up as well. You guys need to be there. Seriously, it's a free group. It's on Telegram. Click on the link below. Make sure that you do that. Anyway, listen, whenever you're listening to this, have a great week, month. Whenever you're listening to this, I'll be back here again on the Business Accelerator for you guys that are listening to me live, and we'll see you soon. Take care and have a great day. Cheers.